Hello, everybody. Welcome to MangaPod. I said swap us over, but I didn't actually count down for you guys, so you all had the same exact face. The same exact facial. You all just went. Welcome to MangaPod, everybody. Hello. We are a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week, we are discussing Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed To. I have shortened the title. It's actually quite long. So, let's see here. Should I read the whole thing? No!
Yeah.
No!
No.
Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed To, The Genius's War of Love and Brains. Okay, when I read it like
the full title. I didn't even know.
When I read it like that, it doesn't seem like it's really long, but yeah, so that is what we were discussing this week. Chapters 1 through 30.5. I am Erin of Happily Erin. With me is one of my lovely co-hosts as well as two very special guests. So let's have everybody go around and introduce themselves, please.
Hey guys, what's up? My name's Lou from Lou Talks Anime, and it's still weird to introduce myself right after Erin. Like that Dodger buffer zone is much necessary. No offense, Erin. I do like being, in proximity, but I'm used to there being a 4'11", 5-foot wall of Dodger dividing us.
That's a compliment. I like being in proximity to you.
You're wonderful, Erin. You know that.
I know. I just really like how you said it.
I'm excited to talk about this manga. We'll get into that in a bit. So yeah, cool. And we also have Thalia.
Yeah, I'm Thalia. I have been here a few times before, so I'm not sure if I need to really introduce myself more. But yeah, basically do YouTube videos about anime, but taking a break now, and then now I usually just stream on Twitch and do games, a lot of games, basically. So yeah, I'm glad to be here finally.
Yay!
And I'm Hermes or Hermsaur on YouTube and Twitch. I do everything mostly on YouTube. I do anime, mostly shonen like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, and Haikyuu. So yeah, I review all that. I watch it and I scream a lot. So yeah, believe it or not, this manga that we're reading, I completely forgot. So I just read it all 4 hours ago.
Good.
Nice.
But I got it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's better than me. I didn't even finish it.
I didn't finish all of it. Awesome. Well, we're so happy to have both of you here to talk about this. If you guys have never joined us for a manga pod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, aka a summary that will be read by one of our lovely guests. I'm going to let you go. Oh,
I got it.
He's got it. He's got
So
it.
here-
I got it.
Let's see. Considered a genius due to having the highest grades in the country, Miyuki Shirogane leads the prestigious Shuchen Academy Student Council as its president, working alongside the beautiful and wealthy vice president Kaguya Shinomiya. I think that's how to say it. The two are often regarded as the perfect couple by students despite them not being in any sort of romantic relationship. However, the truth is that after spending so much time together, the two have developed feelings for one another. Unfortunately, neither is willing to confess, as doing so would be a sign of weakness. With their pride as elite students on the line, Miyuki and Kaguya embark on a quest to do whatever is necessary to get a confession out of the other. Through their daily antics, the battle of love begins.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Now we're going to jump into spoiler-free recommendations. Anybody want to go first? I
I'll go
can. I can hit it. I'm trying to think of how to talk about how I like this manga. I think I really liked it. I thought it had a lot of really funny moments, and the premise is really funny, but it's very difficult to read. I usually have this problem with a lot of Japanese comedy manga, where it can get very, very repetitive. And so it's definitely one that I feel like is better served in smaller chunks. And so, but saying that, I really enjoy the characters and their interactions, and other than it getting a little bit repetitive, I think it does still do the jokes really well, like when it calls for it too. So overall, I think it's a pretty stellar manga, and if you're looking for a comedy to like easily and like jest and indulge in, this is definitely one I think you would like have fun with.
I want to go next. This manga is basically like Death Note, but with butt touching.
Not only butt touching, there's more.
Yeah, but it's all pure because they're both like they're both like super pure.
Yeah.
And it's so adorable. I fucking love this manga, yo.
It
I
is
want an
so
anime
cute.
adaptation like
It is
like
so
yesterday,
cute.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cute.
Like I'll agree with what you said about the jokes getting a little bit repetitive, but that didn't stop them from for being funny for me. So like I really dug it the whole time. Big fan of this manga. I want to read more of it. Yeah, it's great. Everybody should read it.
Yep.
Right. Should I go first or?
You can go first. You go first.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's repetitive. It's probably because I tried to like marathon everything quite fast as well, and I felt like I had to read it, not just for MangaPod. It's like I just wanted to have it done in time, and then honestly, I couldn't be bothered to read a bit more because I was like, it's gotta be the same, like it's gotta be jokes and stuff. So I feel like I'm not gonna miss out on too much if I don't read the last 10 chapters before MangaPod. That being said, it doesn't mean it's a bad one. I actually really enjoy it, but I feel like I would enjoy it more if it was an anime adaptation. Because for me, it really gives me that vibe of Sakamoto, like that anime before, like a lot of like jokes. But it's the kind of jokes that I actually really like because comedy is my favorite genre when it comes to anime and manga. But for the manga to read the manga like 10 chapters after another, it is a bit repetitive. But it would be perfect if I would just read 1 or 2 chapters before bed. That would give me a good laugh and it would make me very happy to do that. And I'm definitely gonna read more. I'm just gonna read it at my own pace, a bit slower, and just enjoy it more, I guess, because I felt like I rushed it a bit too much now. And I definitely think I would enjoy it more. But I definitely want an anime adaptation. I would really like that. And I really like the connection between the 2 main characters. I really like the tension between them and the jokes that they do and the misunderstandings. That's some of the stuff that I really like. So, yeah.
Yeah. For reading 30 chapters in one day, I could see how it's repetitive. But throughout the repetition of like reading, because like most people when they read manga, it's like bulk, and I was able to to skim through the repetitiveness, but like the portions that really mattered per chapter, I really enjoyed, and I was even asking like some of my friends, hey, have you read this? And they're like, oh no, is it good? And usually I'd be like, oh yeah. I usually find very like every manga, whether if it's good or bad, I always find it enjoyable. I always try to find the good portions of it. I don't know why. I'm just very positive. But like I think this was I enjoyed it. I would like an anime adaptation. I could already see it like the beginning of each episode. They're just explaining love war or whatever they say, but I could see it happening. I definitely do plan on reading more, but probably in smaller chunks, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely liked it, and I wouldn't like recommend it to people, especially if they like that rom-com type style. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we all recommend that you go and check this out. We're going to jump into spoiler section now. So if you do not want to be spoiled for anything, you should go read it. Take your leave. Go read it. You can go back and watch the VOD of this either on Twitch or my YouTube channel where it'll be up soon. And then you can come back and watch it. For now, please do not spoil anything past chapter 30.5 in the chat. We will ban timeout. All that stuff, all that not so fun stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into spoilers. I don't have Dodger here to do the whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So go.
Monster Virgin is God.
Monster Virgin. Oh my God, I love this.
That shit was A+.
Oh my God, amazing. Okay, we'll come back. Well, let's talk. Who's read this before? Has anybody read it before? this?
No.
I've never heard of
Okay.
it before.
Okay. Let's do our first impression, like what we thought going into this manga. And I would like to go first because I didn't read the description for this manga. I just looked at the picture that is on Mal, which is very Tokyo Ghoul-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's what
I
thought.
looked at the genres, which is comedy,
Yeah.
romance, school, psychological, and seinen. I was like, oh, it's gonna have some real shit going down.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff goes down, but in a not what I was expecting way. And I actually, since seeing that and having read it, I actually kind of love the fact that it says that, because the psychological part of it is the two, like, obviously having feelings for each other and refusing, like, going so deep into their minds of figuring out, okay, how do I show this person I don't love them? Like, so it's just like, I love that I was thrown off by that.
I feel like as I was reading their interactions, I was like, it felt like I was like reading a fight in JoJo's is what it felt like, specifically part 2 of JoJo's. It's just constantly like, no, well, you fell for this trap that I had laid for you.
Yes.
Then a long, detailed explanation of why it was a trap.
So good.
I
didn't
went
think about
into this manga mostly blind. I did read the description,
Yeah.
but I had no expectation of how that description was going to be executed. The fact that it was in the recommendation thread, like, led me to believe, okay, this is gonna yield some quality. Which we have a recommendation thread, reddit.com/r/MangaPod, where if you have manga that you would like us to read, just add them there and we'll consider them the next time we get to scheduling. But all that said, I genuinely was surprised by this manga. Like, normally anything that we put on the schedule has some sort of buzz to it, and I think that what led us to scheduling it was more the bizarre premise or the bizarre name. And I'm glad that I went into it as blind as I did, because I feel like I had more fun with it because of it. In fact, I would say that the manga that gave me the most serious, or similar experience to this manga was when we read Horimiya, which was again a rom-com that completely caught me off guard, that I genuinely enjoyed. So yeah, this was a great experience. All of it, and I'm looking forward to, like, breaking down why I liked it as much as I did.
No.
All right. Well,
So how about
first
you guys?
impressions,
Yeah, how
I
about
don't
you
know.
dudes?
The same. I basically had the same like Erin. I was like, the tags was like, oh my god, seinen, psychological. I was like, this gotta be so serious. I love it. I can't wait. And then I read it and I was like, okay, it's comedy. Where's the serious part coming up? When's that happening? And so I actually don't get what the seinen tag is for. Like, I can see the psychological one, but I don't get why there's a seinen tag on it, really. I don't know what you guys think about that, but for me, I feel like that tag shouldn't really be there, because that especially that tag made me believe that it was gonna get very serious maybe later on, and maybe I'm still hoping that, because that tag is still there. So
It's just gonna go real intense real quick.
kind of hoping so. That would be a nice twist, but
I think it's just mislabeled on Mal, because
Same.
it's running in Jump. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just someone, whenever they added it, mislabeled it. Now, as for things that would possibly lend to that, so viewers have a full understanding of the content, they do allude to underage people having sex at one point in the manga, and they're reading that. But that would be the only thing that really comes to mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
There's like some jokes about suicide here and
That's it.
there,
Oh
but
yeah, there is.
nothing. Yeah, it's not the usual what you expect from a seinen tag.
Yeah,
So-
but yeah, they don't go into detail about it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Can
Yeah,
I
it's definitely adult humor.
can I say a mistake that I feel like, I mean, I personally made with the thumbnail, was that we said the title as Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed To. Right above it, it says the English alternative title is Kaguya-sama, Love is War. I'm like, that would have been a lot easier.
well, both kind of make sense. romance.
I know. I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, I wish I had memorized that one. It would have taken me a lot less brain power. I love how long the title is, though. I love it when like titles end up being that long when they're like fully like synonyms. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But
I
was gonna ask you to go
guess-
yet.
So I went to this like completely blind. I just said because that's what I usually do when I read a manga, especially when it's suggested to me. When I used to read manga weekly that people would recommend to me, because I don't even want to know if it's a romance or whatever. But when I heard Confessed, I was like, okay, it's gonna be some type of a romance, and then it totally like confused me immediately. I was like, wait, what's going on? And noting the relationship that they have within each other was definitely a highlight. But I feel like the thing that I always looked forward to was when either Ishigami or Fujiwara would come in, because Ishigami, of course, like after his whole encounter with Kaguya, he becomes like super emo, and that's where the adult jokes come from, and I enjoyed that. And I just like Fujiwara, even though like she's sheltered with certain things, she knows what's going on, and I just like her perky personality and how she always comes in at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So that's why I always look forward to seeing Fujiwara, because I think she's like my favorite character so far. But I enjoyed it. So I laughed a lot. I actually laugh. It's rare that I laugh while reading, but I actually laughed a lot.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good read for sure.
I think as we're talking about this, like I'm remembering how much fun I did have with this manga. I think it was just I was stuck in the like this is the same like repetitive. But now just thinking about bits and parts, I'm like, I actually laughed really hard at that and thought that part was really great.
I was dying. Sorry for cutting you off, but since we're talking about moments that we laughed, when Kaguya thought that had their first time meant kissing,
Yeah, that was.
and she was, saying, "Oh, well, Fujiwara's done it with her dog. I did it with my baby nephew."
Yeah, about the family stuff. I was like, oh.
Oh my god, their faces. Like you do it with your sister, and he's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's super like she's just super innocent, and that her innocence is what made me laugh a lot.
dude, the Wiener chapter killed
that
me.
was my
It
favorite.
killed me.
That was my favorite.
I was laughing so hard. Just the way that Fujiwara is like, Wiener. And just like lets her go off again.
I feel like I'm still that way too. I'm so immature. Like someone says something dirty and I just laugh still. Like, that's funny. Boobs.
Oh, so good. And then it ends with like, just like, it's only like those two. It's just the two girls. The other guys come in and then immediately like hightail it right back out. So it's like nothing to do. And I just, like the, Fujiwara, because there's a lot of, like I said, repetitive, but in a way it's still like stuff gets like still pays off even though you're expecting it to like happen. Fujiwara is like, you're always like, all right, she's gonna come in and do something, or she's gonna impact somehow, but it's usually like 90% of the time it's so worth it. Like it's so funny when she comes in, and it's not like she's like, it's just that she's so sweet and innocent and just like tells stuff what she's thinking. And that's really hard to get with like a lot of like, there's times where you get characters that look like her and are presented with her personality that are actually very straightforward. And so I really I loved her as a character. I really liked her. And when she's first introduced, I'm like, oh, you're going to be kind of like standard dits, but your boobs are huge and something. And it's like, no, she's just like super cute and adorable and straightforward. I love it.
Like she's like super low key smarter than both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she has more common sense than both of them. I think. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It depends on what kind of subject it is. But like talking about her, I do really like the chapter where it's just about her walking down the street instead of taking the car. And it kind of like showed her like she wanted to be like serious about it and be really on time for school, and then this little girl shows up and she actually helps her out, and I actually thought she wouldn't help her out. I thought she would be like, oh, you're a pest, go away, but she actually helped the girl, and it kind of showed you like she's a bit tsundere, but she can be different too towards people. And I think it was nice for her to actually experience, because it seems like she wants to kind of have a normal life, but she's really rich, so she's used to being like having her meals made and all that stuff, like we had with the lunchbox chapter. And then it's nice to just see her, like, just a chapter about her walking to school and how she experiences that. And then when she gets back in the car, it was so sweet that she saw the girl again when she went back to school with the car. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was like a little thing that I really enjoyed because it felt a bit more serious. Of course, at the end it was different because the guy came in with his bike and they went to school together.
Yeah.
But it was a really sweet touch to the chapter, and I really liked that chapter for some reason. It was a good change in between all the other things.
My favorite like moments in the 30 chapters that we read was when Kaguya and Miyuki had to give love advice because they're always looked as that are like
nice.
those all about love, the love masters. And usually, even though they don't have any experience at all, and they would give the advice, it would always work out in the direction that they're looking for. So even when I forgot, was it which one was the female? Was it Miko?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was Miko where she was asking Kaguya like
someone like
yeah, how to break up with her boyfriend.
Yeah,
And she ends up turning it around like, oh, you should do something together. And I don't think she meant it in the way that she meant it, but it still worked out. And same thing with the last part where Miyuki was giving advice to, I think it's Kashigawi, where he was saying, get a job. It's $100,000. Get a job.
And then she's like, why do you want him to get a job so bad?
And then they're looking for a coworker, right? Let's just be real.
Yeah. And then the payoff where like they're like Fujiwara comes in and says something and he's just like, he doesn't need a job? Like he was just so caught off guard by that.
Yeah, it's just their innocence. It just turns everything around.
Yeah.
So those were like my favorite parts to read whenever they had to give advice, because it's just like how he was saying how he should ask the girl out that he likes. He's just like corner them to the wall. And I was like, man, if I did that, it would not work out too good for me.
Let's face it, you probably just read it from a manga anyway. So.
Just trying to remember it. Yeah.
If you're looking for an anime with a similar premise to specifically that, there's a show called Love Lab that is kind of following that same idea of someone that doesn't really know about relationships but is put in a position where they have to act like they do. It's pretty good. It came out a few years ago. Highly recommend. It's pretty great.
I think I've heard of it before.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds really familiar. Something when you were talking about how she's tsundere, that was something that I thought, I was like, wow, you rarely get a manga or anything about the main love interest both being tsundere. Yeah. And so that makes it a very interesting interaction because usually it's one of them or it's a harem. That was another thing. I was expecting this to be a harem thing, so I'm really happy that that ended up not being a thing. But yeah, you don't ever read about two tsunderes being in love and figuring out like what that is like and just getting to experience and watch as they both just realize like, I can't admit that I love them.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that too about them. And then I especially like, like Karma said, the chica, the girl coming in all the time. And because you mentioned that part where with the confessing, I just thought it was hilarious where Chica came in as an inspector and she was like, oh, I had to get that from the musical room when I'm back. Like, why did you do that? She's like, I don't know, it just fits. She was like, first you need to do this and this and this. And then that was hilarious. I really love it when Chica comes in and she's doing things where you're like, how? Like, why are you doing this? It's just hilarious. Oh, and like with the cockroach too. Like
I was just thinking about that one.
Right. That was so funny. They were too afraid, and she's like, just let it go.
Guys,
and she's like,
I have to step away. Sorry for interrupting. I have to step away. The baby woke up again. I'll be right back.
Yeah, the whole cockroach. I literally screen grabbed that because I thought it was so funny. Where she's just like, "Oh, it must be south," and then she just lets it, and it just like flies away. And both of them here. Let's say, Shirogane tells her, "You are truly a man among men," is what she says. I'm like, oh, babu.
Yeah, I think like, you know the parts where like I think it was like a personality quiz where they're like asking each other like certain things, and whatever they answered means this. Like, how many cats do you see in a cage? And they say 9. And says, "Oh, that means you want 9 kids." When
Yeah.
they got to Ishigami, when he's like, "Who do you see grabbing behind you in a dark alley?"
Yeah.
he meant Kaguya because he could see her killing him.
And then he's like,
at the other way. He's
Does
like,
that
"Wait,
mean-"
what?" And he felt so confused after he heard what it really meant. I think Ishigami had like some really funny moments every time he's there, and like he wants to leave. He's like, I think I want to go home because I'm having like anxiety or something. Or,
yeah.
like,
He's like,
permission to kill myself.
I want to go home and, get my will in order. And he's like, okay, but please don't actually die. Oh, man. I'm trying to think. I screen grabbed so many different things.
I think the one thing that I screen grabbed and kind of like wanted to turn into a meme is when the girl always says like, "Oh, how cute!" Like
Yes!
every time.
Oh my god.
That goes there every time in every chapter almost. That happens where she's like, like
Just funny
very
because she never really says it.
yeah. She always thinks it. She's like, "How cute."
Oh my gosh. Someone in chat, I always forget how to pronounce your name correctly, Sir or Madame. But just linked a GIF to all of the so cute. How cute. I'm gonna say that drove me up a wall. I was like the one, because it was so repetitive. It was literally the only thing that was repetitive, like strictly repetitive. I was like, stop. I don't care about her saying how cute anymore.
I love that bit.
But I can see, I can see.
I also got the other one. She also one time she says like how lewd instead, and I scream grabbed that because that was like, oh, she said something else for once.
The whole there was the chapter of, I really like the chapters too where it's like they're obviously there and they're trying to figure out how to confuse the other one or like make the other one off kilter. But the one where it's like 3 of them, like Fujiwara and them, just playing a game where she's like the main troll, like she's actually the one getting both of them. The game where they had to like write the name on the paper, and you had to say it, and the way she just like screws both of them over.
That's what I'm saying. Like she is the master manipulator.
She's so great.
Wait, that's the part where. It's the part where Shika is like goes all gangster, right?
Yeah.
Where she's like,
just like that.
Saying the
And then
word, and it's like, don't say dog. Don't say
and
dog.
Shiragani's like, oh my god, she might actually say it. It's so good.
That was good.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just screamed. Oh yeah, I grabbed the faces. Okay, just to like veer. We don't have to fully talk about art, but the reaction, like that's the main thing about comedy manga. Where comedy manga, if it wants to shine, it has to nail reaction faces. And this one does it so well. Like it does it awesome. There's so many hilarious, them just being like, the fuck phases, or them being like,
Especially the guy, I feel like.
yeah.
His reactions are golden.
Yes. Yes, I love it. I love those.
I feel like the only thing that I screen grabbed was mostly the parts with Wiener.
Yeah, I screen grabbed the Wiener thing too.
Just because that was like my favorite chapter. It reminds me of my humor, like things that I find funny, just like so basic, like only like little kids would laugh at, but I still laugh at it every single time.
But then there's parts of it that it makes it like extra funny. Like I screen grabbed it, but it's the last part where she's like, enough with the wieners. How many do you need before you're satisfied? Stop forcing all these wieners on me.
And Ishigami's just like, what's going on?
He's out there like, what is happening? I love it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I love, just going to touch back on this, I love the fact that it hasn't been like harem-y, that it's not a harem at all. Because it's just refreshing. It's nice to have not a harem for either of them. Like, it's just because everyone's convinced that the two of them are dating, and so nobody like goes up and like is around them. And having it be what the 2 most popular kids in school are the 2 like most pure, innocent, have no experience with love, having them be the 2 main is just a nice little twist on what you'll see a lot.
The
Yeah.
scene where like I guess the principal stopped these two girls and he confiscated like was it like a magazine?
Oh, the
And-
shoujo
Oh, yeah,
magazine
These
or
two
something.
are prime examples of what a student should be. And then like they're pure in their thoughts. They're like, I can't wait to do this to her when she confesses, or I can't wait for him to.
yeah.
So like deep down they have like bad thoughts about each other, but in a funny way.
Yeah, yeah.
That too, yeah.
Oh, somebody in chat mentioned Kaguya's servant too.
Oh, what's her? It's how like Hayasaka.
Yeah, something like
Something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Her
She's
like,
legit-
I was like, where did you come from? Okay, it's okay, you're here. It's like she's so funny.
Oh.
I'm hoping that we get more of her too. The scene where like sometimes it's just like you just get caught off guard by how ridiculous it can be because it is so grounded, like the setting and everything. It's
Yeah.
not like a super gag where like people are getting smacked or like something, not like a Strange Plus. I don't know if y'all ever
Oh, God.
subjected yourself to that.
Yeah.
But
I've
it's
seen
not
that, yeah.
anything like that. And so when they have a character suddenly doing something like infiltrating the school, like just dressed up like in complete black and getting in there, like for the coffee chapter, and that was like, it's like, wait, what is happening? And then it goes back to normal, just like standard.
Oh, I actually love that coffee chapter where they're like, "Are we having an indirect kiss?" And then she's like, "Oh shit, I changed the cups, but I didn't think of that." It's like I'm actually gonna kiss him. And they're like, "I think we changed the cups," and they're like, "No, it's okay. We'll drink out of it." And it's like, oh god, this is so wrong. You're so pure, her.
And then they find out that the coffee is like some really disgusting, like brutalized.
It's poop, right?
It's poop.
Yeah, it's poop. Like made out of
Why
poop or
would you
something.
give this to us?
I mean, that type of coffee is really expensive. That's a real thing.
Mhm.
It's
never
a
had
real
it?
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never had
Like
it.
there's coffee beans that have to be digested by a certain type of monkey, and then they extract it from its excrement,
What?
and it's really expensive.
I didn't
That's
even
the
know that
thing,
was a real thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
Wow.
just so weird. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe one day I will try a sip to see, just to say I've tasted it. But I'm also okay with not tasting that ever.
Hey, they said it was good in a
Um,
manga, so.
Yeah. The theater. What did you guys think about the whole theater chapter
Oh.
where they were going to the movie?
That was
Oh,
hilarious.
Yeah.
That was
Like
pretty
trying
funny.
to figure out where to sit and stuff. Yeah.
And
That
he
was
like,
so fun.
I mean, that chapter was pretty funny. I think there were funnier chapters.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
think they handled it
Yeah.
really well. Like with Kaguya overthinking where she's supposed to be seating or
Mhm.
seated. I thought that joke was handled really well. The rest of it was just,
Yeah.
kind of there.
Yeah, that was the main reason I liked it was because of that seat joke. And then how they end up being like awkwardly by each other, but
Yeah.
not quite by each other. Yeah, what were your guys' other favorite moments, like favorite scenes between the two of them, like their standoffs or cute moments? Like what were your guys' thoughts or favorites about those?
The cat ears.
The cat
Yeah.
ears.
Yes.
The
too.
cat
Yeah.
ears.
That was
Yes.
cute. That was
Yeah.
actually super cute.
Super
Like
cute.
cute.
They're both just like cute. And then Fujiwara is like, if you guys are fighting, then nobody gets the ears. And she takes them both off, and they're like standing this close to each other. And
I'm
like,
so sad.
Yeah.
I want there to be more cat ears. This manga needs more cat ears.
I
Oh, I
agree.
definitely
They
agree
were
with that.
so cute.
I also
Because
like.
I feel like we're close to a breakthrough. Fujiwara
yeah.
had to go up and cock block everything.
That's true. That's so
That's her
true.
job.
That is her job, cockblock. In the most innocent, pure way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Oh, I like it. I like it too with the lunchbox where the face of the girl, like towards Chika. What's her name? Yeah, Chika. Yeah, like where she's like, "You're getting food from him. Where's my food?" And like her face was so terrifying every time when she was looking at Chika, and I was like, is this gonna actually be a harem or not? Because like I don't want her to get in a way, but she's just so innocent that she doesn't even notice anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just really liked how that chapter, like how it was drawn and stuff, and the faces that she made were so good.
Yeah,
I really
their
like that
facial
dark parts.
Yeah, where she looks straight up out of something like terrifying, out of like
Yeah.
Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm gonna kill you.
It's
Stop.
like all bloody.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the French chapter? I
Oh.
thought it was
the
so weird because we never get anything about the principal, like here and there. Like he's not like a villain or anything. And then in that chapter, he's like, "You must tear them apart." And I'm like, "Where is this coming from?"
Yeah, that was so random. I was like, go and get him.
Yeah.
I like that. What saved Main Boy was his inability to speak French.
Yeah.
We.
Thalia, you speak French, right?
I do, yeah.
How was that chapter written out?
I wasn't at that chapter actually, so
Oh.
I was at the beginning when they were planning everything for the French people
Yeah.
to come by.
Yeah.
It's
It was-
probably gonna be a bit cringy for me. I can already see it happening. It's every time they speak like German or French in anime or manga, I'm like, no, just stop. Don't try to do it.
Oh man, yeah, and like I love that we get to see Kaguya be really protective. Like she's actually protective, but only because Shirogane doesn't know what she's saying at all.
Yeah.
And then I loved the callback to that chapter when she's reading the shoujo manga and is like, she goes, "This is what I like," while Fujiwara has like a fetish about like being owned or something. And then Karuga's like, the whole like innocent, like sharing headphones thing. And then she goes up and he's like listening. She thinks he's listening to music and he's actually just listening to French lessons. She's like, ugh.
And he's just so excited, like, this is free in our library. And he's so oblivious to what she really wanted to think that was happening.
So good. It's great, that part. I'm trying, how many chapters are out of this?
I think 90 something.
Is it
There's
90?
more. I think this way.
Oh,
Really?
snaps. 9? This is always I always think this about, oh god. I opened up that, how cute thing. Like the GIF again, and it's still going. I'm like, oh, there it is.
Oh yeah.
It's always interesting to see what.
There's 108 chapters out.
108? Okay. There you
Yeah.
go.
Very
It's still
interesting to see
going.
how they keep going. Yeah,
It's
how
still
they keep
ongoing.
going.
It'll never end. I don't think
No.
it'll ever end.
I wonder if they made any progress at all in their
Yeah,
like
that's-
battlefield.
I highly doubt it.
There's gotta be some, because that's the thing. They have to give us like a little bit every now and then to like make it feel like they're moving forward. Like the nail chapter, he was this close to actually saying her nails were cute. It's like that close. I'm like, you're moving centimeter by centimeter. You're going slowly.
Yeah.
I think like the
Kinda
moment
wonder
that I really felt bad for Kaguya was when she felt bad about the cup of noodles.
Oh,
And then when they were in the closet, and then I guess
principal,
Fujiwara and
yeah.
and Miyuki were like together, and she's like, I feel so alone.
yeah, and she's like, what are they talking about? It doesn't feel cramped in here at all. And it's like the principal where it's like, wait, what? He's the strictest, but he loves playing Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah, that was so random. The Pokemon Go thing. I was looking for
What?
Pikachu.
Yeah.
I didn't expect
Yeah,
that.
her like whole map of her just and
That chapter-
servant. What? Go
That
ahead.
chapter floored me because my daughter recently got like super into Pokemon Go. So it's just
Aw.
like really the universe just timed this out perfectly because she started playing like last week.
Aww. Have her draw a map and it's just the same as Fujiwara's, where she's just like,
It's all squiggly.
she's like, how did you get anywhere? And the ribbon, like I love that. She was like, why do you always send weird pictures? And it's just Fujiwara surrounded by chickens looking all happy. Just shit like that gets me. Should we talk about the art?
The
Yeah.
art style? Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, sure. It was
Basic.
The faces, yeah.
Yeah,
Basic.
it was basic.
The faces are what made it. I think
Yeah.
it was the same with when we first started reading Nisekoi. We were all kind of like at the start. We were like, "Oh, the art," but like it nails the facial expressions.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, that was saying it's very important in a comedy manga to nail the facial expressions, and it does it really, really, really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
Like
Because
social kind of.
a lot of it is like repetitive, especially the parts where they're really thinking about like, oh, if I do this, this is what's gonna happen, and this is what it really means if we're doing it this way. Which is like my favorite part is like the explanations, because you always think like the reader is always thinking, oh, this is what he means by doing this, but he goes like they think too thoroughly. So I think that was like the most repetitive in terms of art is just the thinking. But then I think it's the dialogue and what they're talking about is what made it good, especially the facial expressions too.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I
And
don't have
it's,
much to add to that.
yeah, it's nice that they have such a small cast because you can like each character's look is distinct.
Yeah.
It took me the longest time to realize that that was a bow in Fujiwara's hair and not just her hair. Like,
Oh.
like it wasn't until she like pointed out at one point that she had a bow. I was like, oh, I just accepted weird anime hair.
And
But yeah.
sometimes since it's like super basic, all of the characters end up looking the same, especially with male characters. So I like that it was like only I think 2 main characters and then the 2 other main characters, I guess, which are like the secretary and the treasurer. So I always thought it was good that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely makes it easier.
No, I'll agree with everything that's been said. I thought the art was serviceable. They nailed the expressions. There really wasn't anything apart from that really stood out from it visually. So what really carries this manga is the writing and the humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really all I have to say about the art. Like I feel like it doesn't necessarily need better art, but I wouldn't mind it if it had a better artist working on it, or if the artist was able to improve.
There's a little tiny bit of improvement because at the start everybody is very weirdly thin in very weird ways.
Yeah.
So that's gotten a little bit better, and so I'm curious to see where it is at chapter 118 or 108 or whatever. How the art might have shifted a little bit, but yeah, it works for what it is. Exactly.
Yeah, if it does turn into an anime, I can see it being like those short series anime, like it's only like 5
Yeah,
minutes
For
long.
sure, yeah.
That's what I would
Yeah.
hope it would be. Yeah, a short. Because otherwise, it'd be like the same thing over and over for 22 minutes, 24,
Exactly,
however long.
exactly.
And you're just like, okay, no, don't
Well,
do
They would
this.
just like
Kinda
at the
depends.
best moment.
Yeah,
too.
it depends on who's directing it. And
Yeah,
stuff,
and it kind of depends how it goes because it worked for Sakamoto. They did like 5 jokes in one episode, and it worked for that because it kind of
Yeah.
went
That's true.
That's
from
true.
one joke into the other. And I can see the whole French parts go in one episode, especially because it's all about the same thing with
Yeah.
the few chapters about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it depends though who directs it and stuff as well.
That's true.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Otherwise, we can wrap up and do final thoughts and ratings.
Nope. I
I
think I'm
think
good.
I got my thoughts out there.
Me too.
Same. Lou, you want to go first with rating?
Yeah, sure. I think this manga deserves an 8 out of 10. While I wasn't blown away by the art, I think they really nailed the humor. Going into a comedy series, you expect a little repetition in the jokes because that's kind of how Japanese humor works. Like the humor aside from the joke itself is also in the repetition of it.
Yeah.
And subverting expectations of what you like, of the direction that you think the joke is going in and taking in a different direction, which this manga really does manage to handle really well. I like all the characters, and really that's basically it. Like, I mean, it's not like we can really rely on what we use typically when we analyze manga, because it's not like this has a linear plot that we can dissect. I kind of wish that, like Korimiya, which I mentioned earlier, there was at least some sort of progression to it. Which, I mean, like you pointed out earlier, Erin, it's incremental in this manga. I just kind of wish it was paced a little bit more and we would get more out of it. But then that would kind of go against the whole point of the manga, where like to confess first is to admit defeat. So, but all that said, yeah, I feel like a 8 out of 10 is definitely a fair score for it.
I think I'm going to give it a 7 for all the reasons Lou said, except the repetition of it bugs me a lot more. And I think I'm trying to decide. I don't know if it'd go up that much more if I hadn't like read it in all a bunch of chunks, but I definitely think the repetition of the humor takes it down just a little bit, but it more than makes up for it in how well it does the jokes over and over. Like the refreshing parts of the jokes. Like there's times where like the stuff that they repeat exactly is kind of what's too repetitive, but they do have a lot of good payoffs that are the same but great in their own ways. And I love the characters. I love the whole premise of it being tsunderes fighting against each other while falling in love with each other. And the reaction faces, everything. I think a 7 out of 10 is a pretty solid for me, is what I think is for me.
Okay. You could go first.
Yeah, I'll also give it a 7, like Erin. For me, it's still also a little bit too repetitive, but again, it's probably my fault for reading it too fast and rushing myself too much. I think if I would read it on my own pace, I would probably give it an 8, and it also kind of depends on how the story progresses and if they actually get closer or not later on. So I'm kind of hoping for that, but I also don't want to have too much hope for it because there are 109 chapters now, so I'm getting the feeling it's kind of still gonna be the same for now, or for a long time at least. But there's a lot of times where I was like, oh, this is repetitive, and then I was reading more and I was like, oh no, wait, this is a refreshing chapter, I really like this, and then it made me want to read more. So I think that's a good thing about it, and especially the characters. I think the 2 main characters are probably the reason why I am still reading it, because I think the characters are definitely like my favorite thing about the whole manga. So, yeah.
I think I give it like, it's like right in the middle of everyone's, but it's more like 7.7.
Yeah.
I give it like a 7.7. Like, though a lot of the things were very repetitive, because for me, I'm not one to really read unless it's like something that I always read. But for me to want to continuously read something says a lot. And the fact that I didn't really mind reading, 30.5 chapters in one day, it didn't really bother me too much, because I did enjoy the dialogue, and I was able to like at least skim through the parts that were pretty repetitive. So that I believe that's why I got through the chapters pretty quick. But I feel like if we take like the series as it is and not like judge it based off of what I've been reading, I enjoy it. There's things that like some chapters are hit or miss, but I would say the majority of the chapters are a hit for me, especially like when it's a big moment, like when the French students come, or even like little tidbits on the chapters. Like there's always at least one moment that I really liked per chapter, which is why I really liked it. In terms of the art style, even though it's very basic, I was mostly reading it for the dialogue and for what was being said. So yeah, I still liked it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, there you go. We all definitely recommend you go and check it out if you haven't yet. It's very funny and awesome. So what we're going to do now that wraps up our discussion, we're going to, or I am going to read you the description for the manga that we're reading next week. And by saying I'm going to read the description and have you guys guess it, I'm just going to read the one-line description that has been given to me. But it is very succinct. It does make a lot of sense. Okay. The funny romantic story of how blank and blank met and fell in love.
But
That's so vague.
that's like every shoujo manga.
I mean, come on, honestly, guys.
Could it be?
It should be. It's a given. It's obvious.
I
How do you
know.
not know?
I
Guys.
have I don't even
Guys,
know.
do you know? How do you not know? It's a pretty. I don't know how many people are gonna know about it. It is Iguchi, which is a. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it's a Chinese webcomic or a manhwa. But it is about two high school girls falling in love, and it is fucking adorable. And so that is what we're reading next week. We're reading chapters 1 through 60. That sounds like a lot, but it's literally just like 8 panels max each chapter. So
Yeah.
it's pretty fast. It's a really fast read, but it's also really cute. So that is what we are going to be reading next week. Let's go around and shout out Chinese webcomic. Yes, okay. Let's go around and shout out our stuff really fast. I'm Erin, a Happily Erin. I have a YouTube channel. It's mostly a MangaPod channel right now, which I'm more than okay with. I love it. But you can go and see if you want to see any of my previous videos. I have anime reviews, first impressions, top 11-ish lists, as well as a bunch of mental health awareness videos. And then I'm much more active on my Twitter, twitter.com/happilyerin. So come and chat with me. I love Voltron and I'm in writing hell. So if you want to come and talk to me about relatable things with that, let's do it.
Cool. My name is Lou. I'm from Lou Talks Anime and Lou Plays Games, and I occasionally play games. Not as much lately because I am perpetually exhausted. But that's gonna change over the summer. And as for the talking anime thing, it's been a while since I made a video for my YouTube channel. That's also something I would like to change. So maybe in the near future. I have scripts done and ideas planned out. I just need time to put things together. And luckily, given the nature of my occupation, I'll have a lot of time very, very soon. So those things aside, if you want to see where I'm actually more often than not, it's my Twitter, which is at Lou Talks Anime. So feel free to follow me on there and let's have a fun little conversation about whatever the hell you want.
Yay.
We can talk about how love confession leads to defeat and subjugation.
Great. I'm Thalia from Thalia Lisette. I have a YouTube channel that I've been active on for a long time now because I'm in South Korea and I don't really have time to do YouTube stuff at the moment. And I also have all of my equipment back at home in Belgium, so that's a huge part why it's not possible.
Yep.
I'll go back to Belgium in August, so then I will try to get my YouTube running again. So YouTube is usually anime, manga, sometimes some K-pop stuff, or some games too. Then I usually am active on Twitch 4 days a week, and I stream RPG games and indie games and a lot of visual novels. So yeah, that's basically it.
I love K-pop.
Great.
Well, I'm Hermsaur on YouTube, very active on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Instagram. I'm like a workaholic. I'm a breathing
Good for you.
workaholic. Yeah.
Good.
We used to be like that.
Yeah.
I just can't sleep, so I'm like, I'm just super caffeinated all the time. People know me for being always on G Fuel or some type of caffeinated drink. My claim to fame was watching hentai, but not anymore. But now I mostly cover like My Hero Academia is my big one. Black Clover as well. Haikyuu is like, I just started watching that and I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's so good.
Yo, season 3 is god tier,
I'm getting to
and
that
that's
next
like
week.
me setting the bar low.
So good.
Have fun.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Yeah, and Twitch, I do like talk shows like this with people. I mostly play games. I talk to my audience. I always say my YouTube needs my Twitch and vice versa. That way I can communicate with people and just discuss. I like talking about anything. Also, I open lewd boxes that J-List sends me. That's also very what I'm known
That's
for
nice.
too. So
I love
yeah.
it. Awesome. Well, thank you both for being here. We really appreciate having you both come on and talk this with
Thank you for
us.
inviting.
Of course. Yeah, you guys will have to come back. 100%.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys want to check out the other two co-hosts that usually join us, Yokurama, you can find him on Twitter at Yoku Talks, and then it is Yoku Talks, right?
Yeah.
That's what.
It
Okay.
was Yokurama Talks.
Or Yokurama
Yeah,
Talks.
Yokurama
There we
Talks.
go. Never mind. And then we also have Dodger. You can find her Twitch streams at twitch.tv/DexBonus, and also all of her, I think most of her stuff at this point is DexBonus. She is currently on maternity leave and will be back in the future. So we are very excited to have her back whenever she does, but she's currently cuddling the cutest baby in the world. So if you want to go send her some cute supportive hug tweets, you should definitely go and do that. Thank you all so much for being here and hanging out with us as we discuss Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed To. Next week, we will be reading Tamen de Gushi, chapters 1 through 60. So we hope you can join us for that. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.